Okay, so let's have a look at impingements. Now, these are known as subacromial. Now, remember your acromion. I'm going to go through this with you. So it impinges underneath the acromion. So it gets pinched, in other words. Now, this could be the supraspinatus tendon, could be the bursa. So I want to go through this because, as I said, this is by far the most common shoulder problem you will see in your spa or clinic, okay? So let me just go to the graphic to give you a really good understanding of exactly what's going on, because once you know that, then this is how we're going to treat it later in the course with specific exercises, and we'll get into that later on. All right, so let's have a look at this. Now, shoulder impingement syndrome, otherwise known as subacromial impingement syndrome, okay? Now, all right, so you remember you've got your acromion here, and what happens with this? So if you just have a look here, so this will generally, it'll be on top of the shoulder, it might be a little bit down the side there, and so what's happened is, if you can imagine your humeral head, normally when I raise my arm, okay, if I do it that way, there's your humerus, and the head, and there's your acromion above it, so you see it here. Right there. Now what happens is, when that's free to move under there, lovely, no problems at all, no impingement, terrific. So, however, when this space gets compromised, now it might be because poor posture, which we'll look at as the person's forward, because look, if I sit up, no problem at all. There's plenty of space, do it that way, plenty of space underneath my acromion for my humerus to rotate, okay? So, in other words, that supraspinatus tendon is going under nicely, the bursa is going under nicely, everything's, but, now look, if you slouch, try it now. So I want you to slouch forward, and now go, there it is. I can't go any further. When I'm sitting up, no problem at all. One of the most common things that people, they start to tear these muscles, because if this keeps getting impinged, it will just keep going grind, and you'll start to degenerate, wear and tear, start to get rotator cuff tears in the supraspinatus. Okay, so what this will do is it'll inflame this, and then, so let me go back. So, okay, so when the shoulder blades are back and down, which I'll teach you, in other words, I'm broad across the shoulder. This is going to help my shoulders because there's much more room. When I'm right like this, there's virtually no room, and it just jams up immediately. Problem is, a lot of people are halfway in between. So there might not be pain when they're doing it. It's kind of restricted, but it just keeps going grind, and then suddenly gets inflamed. Then it becomes a much bigger problem. Okay, so the point of this is getting squeezed. It could be the bursa. Now, again, remember, they get squeezed, they get aggravated, they get irritated, and it becomes an itis, okay? Irritation of the bursitis, or tendinitis, supraspinatus in this case, tendinitis. And then it can become worse and become a tear. All right, so that is your subacromial bursa there. So what we're going to be doing is getting more space by doing various things to get that from stop banging and grinding everything there. We're going to get that so there's more room so I can go underneath the acromion much easier. So let me teach you the tests that you want to be doing. Oh, before we go there, this is the painful arc. This is why it's called a painful arc syndrome. And what you're going to see here, no pain, 60 to 120 degrees. Why is that? Well, because when the shoulder's by its side, okay, it's not getting aggravated. But those irritated tissues, whether it's bursa, tendon, or both, so it's not getting there. And now I start lift up, and this is what you'll see, and it's called painful arc. And it might start anywhere between this range, like you see in the diagram. So what would happen, they go, oh, yeah, I can feel it. And you might get, and I'll teach you this in a second, you get the person to go, okay, just can you keep going through it? Keep going through it? Yep, no, it hurts all the way. Oh, it doesn't hurt up here at all. Just like you can see in the diagram, okay? Because those structures have now passed through that obstruction underneath the acromion. So you can imagine it's gone, so there was nothing, and then it's going grind, and it's past it. That's why you get that. So, and we'll talk about this as well. Well, I will. You want to decrease that painful arc which is showing you there's less length of that getting obstructed. So if the person, started off like this, and it's painful all the way through, and then you did some treatment or exercise, and then they go, here it is here. Now it's gone. See how you've decreased that arc? That is a very positive thing that you've done to help that person, decreasing the arc. Okay, so let me show you the tests.